In the heart of the ancient land of Veridorn, nestled between towering mountains and sprawling forests, there once stood the grand city of Amara. Amara was not just any city, it was the jewel of the world, a place where scholars, magicians, and warriors alike gathered to learn, grow, and protect the sacred balance of magic that flowed through the earth like an invisible river. The city's greatest treasure was not its gold, nor its towering marble palaces, but its chronicles, a vast library of knowledge that spanned millennia. The Chronicles of Amara were said to contain every secret ever uncovered, from the creation of the stars to the depths of human understanding. Every ruler of Amara was entrusted with protecting this library, for it was believed that the Chronicles held the key to maintaining harmony between the physical and magical realms. But the Chronicles also held darker secrets, forgotten spells and ancient prophecies that warned of a time when the balance would be shattered. This time had come. The skies above Veridorn had grown darker with each passing year, and the land itself had begun to wither. Crops failed, rivers dried, and the once prosperous trade routes became desolate. No one knew what was causing the decay, only that it seemed to be spreading outward from the heart of Amara. Desperate, the council of Amara's rulers called upon their greatest minds, but even the wisest among them could not find an answer. Among those minds, was a young scholar named Seren. Unlike the others who sought to unravel the mysteries of magic through ancient texts, Seren had always believed that the answers lay in the stories themselves, in the Chronicles of Amara. While the council debated and searched for solutions, Seren spent his days wandering the aisles of the great library, reading, researching, and piecing together clues. One evening, as Seren sat alone in the farthest corner of the library, poring over a particularly old and crumbling manuscript, he found something that chilled him to his core. The manuscript spoke of the shattering, a cataclysmic event that had been prophesied thousands of years ago, one that foretold the destruction of the world if the balance of magic was ever disturbed. According to the prophecy, the shattering would begin when the Book of Dusk, the most dangerous and forbidden text in the entire library, was opened. The Book of Dusk had been sealed away centuries ago, hidden deep within the bowels of the library, under lock and key. Only the highest members of the council even knew of its existence, and it was said that no one had touched the book in over 1,000 years. But Seren had a sinking feeling that this was no longer true. Determined to uncover the truth, Seren left the library that night and made his way to the council's chamber. The city was eerily quiet as he walked through the streets, the moon hanging low in the sky, casting long shadows across the cobblestones. When he reached the council's chamber, he found the doors already open, the room empty except for a single figure standing by the grand window that overlooked the city. It was Dorin, the High Magister and leader of the council, an elderly man whose power and wisdom was said to rival that of the gods. Seren hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. "High Magister," Seren said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "I found something in the Chronicles." Dorin didn't turn to face him. His gaze remained fixed on the darkened sky outside, his hands clasped behind his back. "And what have you found, young scholar?" His voice was calm, almost too calm. Seren swallowed hard. "The shattering. It's begun, hasn't it? Someone has opened the Book of Dusk." At that, Dorin finally turned. His face was unreadable, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes, Guilt, perhaps. You've always been too curious for your own good, Seren. Seren's heart skipped a beat. It's true, then. The balance is breaking. Dorin sighed, walking slowly towards Seren, his heavy robes brushing the floor with each step. The balance has been breaking for centuries, long before you or I were born. The magic we've relied on has been fading, and we've grown complacent, believing that our knowledge could hold it together forever. But the truth is, magic is dying. But the Book of Dusk holds the only answer to saving our world. Dorin interrupted, his voice rising slightly. It contains spells and knowledge that were hidden away for a reason, yes. But desperate times call for desperate measures. We cannot allow Veridorn and all of Amara to fall into ruin. Seren shook his head, disbelief washing over him. You've read it, haven't you? The book? You're the one who opened it. Dorin was silent for a long moment. Then, with a slow nod, he answered, I had no choice. The council refused to listen to reason. They were too afraid of the power locked away in that book. But I knew it was our only hope. I've spent years studying it, unlocking its secrets. But the cost has been higher than I could have ever imagined. The shattering, Seren whispered. You've triggered it. It was already set in motion, Dorin replied. I merely sped up the inevitable. Seren's mind raced. The prophecy was clear. The shattering would end the world unless the balance could be restored. But once the Book of Dusk had been opened, the path to restoring that balance was unclear. The book held powerful magic, but it also held the seeds of destruction. It was a dangerous gamble. There must be another way, Seren said desperately. The Chronicles, there has to be something we've missed, something that can stop the shattering without tearing the world apart. Dorin's expression softened, and for the first time he looked tired, truly tired. I wish there were, but the Chronicles hold no more answers. I've searched them all. What remains now is up to us. We must choose how we face the end. That night, Seren couldn't sleep. He returned to the library, determined to find something, anything, that could stop the coming disaster. He combed through the oldest manuscripts, the forgotten tomes that had been left to gather dust in the far corners of the library. As dawn approached, Seren's eyes landed on a small, unmarked book, tucked behind a row of larger volumes. It was worn and fragile, its pages yellowed with age. He opened it carefully, and as he began to read, his heart pounded with a mix of fear and hope. The book spoke of a ritual, a final desperate act that could restore the balance, but only at a great cost. It required a sacrifice, not of blood, but of knowledge. The one who performed the ritual would have to give up their mind, their memories, and their very soul to the heart of magic, the source of all life in Veridorn. In doing so, they would restore the balance and halt the shattering, but they would cease to exist as themselves. Seren's hands trembled as he closed the book. This was it. This was the answer. The next morning, Seren went to Dorin. He laid the book before the High Magister and explained the ritual. Dorin listened in silence, his face unreadable. When Seren finished, there was a long pause. So, this is the final choice, Dorin said quietly. A life for the world. Seren nodded. It's the only way. Dorin looked at him with a sadness that Seren hadn't seen before. "And you are willing to make this sacrifice?" Seren's stomach twisted, but he nodded again. "I am." "You are braver than I ever was," Dorin said softly. "But know this, Seren. Once the ritual is complete, there will be no memory of you. You will be forgotten by everyone, and your name will fade into the wind. You will not be remembered as a hero." Seren swallowed hard, but his resolve didn't waver. "If it means saving Amara, then it's worth it." The ritual took place in the heart of the library, where the first stone of Amara had been laid centuries ago. Seren stood before the heart of the magic, an ancient crystal that pulsed with a faint light. Dorin and the remaining members of the council stood around him, their faces grim. As Seren began the incantation, he felt the magic swirling around him, pulling at his mind, his memories. He spoke the words slowly, deliberately, knowing that with each one, he was giving up a part of himself. The light from the crystal grew brighter, enveloping him in its glow. His vision blurred, his thoughts becoming distant, like fading echoes. And then, just as the final word left his lips, everything went still. Seren was gone. In the days that followed, the skies over Veridorn began to clear. The land slowly returned to life. The rivers flowed once more, and the trees regained their vibrant green. The shattering had been stopped, the balance restored. But no one remembered Seren. His name was lost to time, just as Dorin had warned. Yet, though forgotten, Seren's sacrifice lived on in the heart of Amara, where the chronicles continued to grow, and where, deep in the library, a single unmarked book remained, waiting for the next curious soul to find it. The balance had been saved, but the cost was eternal silence.